Okay, hi everyone. Good morning. Thanks for being here. My name is Louisa Calame. I'm an undergraduate student at McGill University and a representative of the Palestinian Students and Scholars at Risk Network. Today, I'm joined by representatives from graduate student unions from Newfoundland and Labrador, British Columbia, and Ontario to express concern with the Canadian government's treatment of Palestinian student visa applicants. We're holding this press conference to express solidarity with the students and demand immediate resolution from the Prime Minister of Canada and Minister of Immigration. PSSAR was formed to support Gazan postgraduate research students with access to education, helping students complete their applications and providing other support needed to accommodate their needs during mass displacement and famine. After almost 2 years of meetings and numerous attempts to resolve this issue and misleading information from IRCC, we have seen almost no positive movement on these files. Although the Minister of Immigration recently made a public announcement that all student visa files of Gazan applicants would be reviewed, the majority of the students have not heard back about their applications still. Those who have heard back have been subjected to aggressive interrogations by IRCC officers in what we believe is an attempt to find any reason of rejection. In June, PSSAR was informed by an IRCC official that the files for students in Egypt would be resolved in the next month. Yet many of the students with biometrics in Egypt have not received interview requests or updates to their applications. The repeated false promises and misinformation from IRCC is irresponsible and an unacceptable standard of operation for a Canadian ministry. Canadian universities and academics deserve accurate and transparent answers from our government officials. We believe IRCC is attempting to prolong the process and intimidate students until they willingly withdraw their applications from Canada. After years of waiting and hours of interrogation, some of the students have chosen to withdraw as they have lost hope in the possibility of receiving a response from Canada. Even after the interviews, there is still no decision. The students are now confused, stuck, and have lost hope. As a student at one of Canada's top research institutions myself, I'm appalled by how our government is treating my colleagues. Alongside my fellow students who are here today and across the country, we are demanding that Prime Minister Mark Carney Sorry about that. We are demanding that Prime Minister Carney takes a firm stance as a leader for equality and fairness and for all, and instructs the Ministers of Immigration, Public Safety, and Global Affairs to work together to resolve this issue immediately. I'm now going to pass it off to Danica Reid, the Director of Academic Relations at Simon Fraser Graduate Student Society. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Louisa. Good morning. My name is Danica, and I am the Director of Academic Relations for the Graduate Student Society at Simon Fraser University. Today, we have issued a joint letter signed by 14 graduate student associations across Canada, all sharing the same message to address an urgent crisis. Over 130 Palestinian graduate students admitted to Canadian research programs have been waiting over 2 years for IRCC to process their study permits. As graduate students, we know how hard it is to earn a place in master's or PhD programs, and these 130 researchers did that while surviving unimaginable trauma. They are our peers, our future colleagues, and our researchers. We refuse to sit quietly in our classrooms while the federal government lets the futures and lives be erased by administrative neglect. Prolonged processing times have already cost 2 prospective PhD students at the University of Waterloo their lives before they could reach Canada. Other admitted scholars have suffered severe injuries while waiting for their visas to be processed. Canada's academic ecosystem and research capacity are actively losing top-tier talent, and academic research is being delayed due to this government inaction. The students have had to endure extreme hardship during the genocide in Gaza, difficulty getting out and leaving family behind, living in difficult economic conditions in Egypt. They have persevered and gained admissions into these Canadian programs. But instead of helping students move forward with their lives, IRCC is prolonging the distress of the students by avoiding making a decision on the status of their applications. 11 students have been called in for interviews by IRCC and have been subjected to baseless interrogations in an attempt to find an excuse to reject their visas. This process has been filled with discriminatory delays, misinformation by the Minister of Immigration, and a lack of transparency for Canadian universities and researchers. We ask that this is resolved immediately and that the Canadian government honor the commitment made by the Minister of Immigration to process these study permits and allow these students to begin their new academic chapter before it is too late. I will now pass things on to Gaia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gaayathri. I am the Executive Director of Communications at the Graduate Students Union at Memorial University of Newfoundland. 130 Palestinian students have been waiting over 2 years for Canadian study permits, despite earning admissions to 26 universities across Canada based on outstanding academic merit. These scholars are admitted into high-priority fields crucial to Canada's future, including artificial intelligence, public health, sustainable infrastructure, and social sciences. While waiting on IRCC processing, these students face life-threatening conditions in Gaza, risk losing their academic admissions, and face the expiration of their research funding. These students have had their morale and hope chipped away by the misleading information and false hope given to them by the Minister of Immigration's remarks. They persevered through unimaginable conditions in Gaza to secure admission entirely on merit into highly competitive Canadian research programs. These admitted scholars are set to participate in critical research across disciplines that align with Canada's national and economic interests, including artificial intelligence, engineering, public health, and environmental sciences. The extensive delays have caused immense undue hardship on these students, with many already seeing their university offers expire and their funding run out. Instead of helping these scholars move forward with their lives, IRCC has subjected at least 11 of these students to hostile, baseless interrogations. These are not routine interviews, they're bad faith interrogations based on, these are bad faith interrogations designed to search for any arbitrary excuse to reject these applicants, intimidate them, or force them to give up and withdraw. This is not administrative diligence, it is bad faith stalling. Memorial University of Newfoundland and Labrador's Graduate Students Union, alongside 14 other graduate students' union, is calling on the Canadian government to end the discriminatory practices causing further delays that will take these opportunities away from deserving students. I will now pass it on to Reke. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Reke Avikpe, and I am the Vice President Internal at the University of Toronto Graduate Student Union. Graduate student unions fight for fair, accessible, and high-quality education, and that is our work in ordinary times, and it does not stop at the border. I would like to begin by being clear about who we are talking about, because the language of application backlogs and processing times has a way of making people disappear into paperwork. More than 130 students are students like myself. They are like my colleagues and like my classmates. They met the same entrance requirements. They wrote the same statements of purpose. They waited on the same admissions committees. They have dreams, they have academic achievements already behind them, and they have many more goals still ahead of them. Like myself, they are fully admitted members of our academic community who earned their spots through rigorous competitive merit. Nobody handed them anything. They were assessed, they were compared against other applicants, and they were chosen. And the difference between me and them is not talent and it's not effort. The difference between me and them is merely geographic luck. And that is why we are speaking today. Knowing that two of these incoming students, Sally and Dahlia, were killed while waiting for paperwork forces us to speak out. They had been admitted, they were waiting, and the waiting outlasted them. Canadian universities promised these students a spot. Institutions across 26 campuses admitted the scholars, and many of them hold funding awards. Those were not gestures of goodwill. Those were commitments made in writing by our own institutions. As student unions, we hold both our university administrations and the federal government accountable to honor those commitments. An offer of admission has to mean something. Funding that has been awarded has to remain available. Seeing flexible policies like biometric waivers granted to students fleeing other conflict zones while those same flexibilities are denied to Palestinian applicants, represents an unacceptable double standard. The requirement itself is not the problem, it's the selective application of that requirement that becomes a problem. Actually consider what is being asked of these students. Demanding biometrics inside the region without the visa application center is an impossible, paradoxical hurdle. There is no office to walk into, there is no appointment to book, the requirement cannot be met, and then the file sits unresolved because the requirement was not met. We are standing up against arbitrary administrative barriers that target and disenfranchise qualified students based on where they are from. In March 2022, weeks into the war in Ukraine, this government eased overseas biometrics collections for whole categories of Ukrainian applicants. So the authority exists, it has been used, and it was used quickly. It is unacceptable, and it shows a clear anti-Palestinian bias that the Minister of Immigration chooses not to apply this precedent to Gazans. We maintain that education is a fundamental human right, and we reject the notion that academic opportunity can be taken away by government inaction. A refusal is a decision, and a decision can be questioned and challenged, but silence cannot, and silence is what these students have been given. International talent enriches our campuses, upholds global academic freedom, and fulfills Canada's commitment to humanitarian leadership. These students deserve the opportunity to continue their education and to rebuild their futures. Canada has consistently shown support for students and scholars at risk by creating new programs to help those fleeing war continue their studies. So we're not asking this country to become something it has never been. We're asking it to be what it has already said it is. And so therefore our ask today is a simple one. We ask that Minister Lina Diab hold herself accountable for the commitment she made. On May 28th at committee, she said that these files will be completed within 10 days. Her office then narrowed that promise to the students who had already made it out of Gaza. 2 months exactly have passed. Even the narrower promise is overdue, and it left the students still inside Gaza with nothing. And so we ask our colleagues, our elected members of parliament, to hold her accountable to that promise. These students have done everything that was asked of them, and what remains is a decision, and that decision belongs to this government. Thank you. We will now open the floor for questions.
Thank you, merci. We will now take questions. Please use the raise hand function. We will start with one question and follow up. Nous allons prendre les questions maintenant. Si vous avez une question, s'il vous plaît, utilisez la fonction main levée. Nous commencerons avec une question et une question de suivi. David Koch, the floor is yours.
Hello, this is David Gordon Koch. I'm a reporter at the NB Media Co-op. I'm in Moncton, New Brunswick. And I was just wondering if UNB, University of New Brunswick's Graduate Student Association is a signatory to your letter.
Yes, I believe they are. Give me like 10 seconds to double check that. One
Thank
second.
you. Or if any New Brunswick associations are, for that matter.
The University of New Brunswick isn't one of our official signatories on the letter, no.
Okay. Well, my follow-up, I've been in contact with a student who has been accepted into UNB grad school in computer science. He's living in a displacement camp. It's frequently attacked by Israeli forces. He said he walks 2 kilometers daily to access electricity and internet. He said he's carried out research with his grad supervisor at University of New Brunswick, and they recently co-authored a study which they've submitted to a journal. Now, UNB itself has basically declined to comment on this issue, and the GSA, I haven't been able to reach them yet. They haven't responded, but I just wanted to know if any of you have any comment on, the ethics of a university carrying out academic, relying on academic labor from a student in a conflict zone facing a genocide while remaining silent on the conditions that are keeping him in this dangerous situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of said it. It's very unfortunate that an institution is willing to accept someone but not willing to and recognizes the merit and how strong a student is and their potential in contributing to their academic community at the university. Unfortunately, not all universities were vocalizing these concerns, as you mentioned, at least not yet, and we hope they do. But yeah, unfortunately, these students, as we mentioned, they've been accepted based on merit, and it shouldn't be just a geographical location that stops them from attending and starting their studies when it is very, very solvable. It is a very solvable issue, as we've seen with other countries like Italy and France.
Do you have more questions, David? All right. Thank you all. This concludes the press conference for today. Merci à tous. Ceci met fin à la conférence de presse. Oh,
Could I just get one more question?
yeah, for sure. Go.
Sorry, I was muted. I guess I was just wondering if any of the graduate student society or association representatives would have any message for their colleagues at the GSAs that have remained silent on this so far.
I can answer this question, I suppose. We at the Graduate Student Society at Simon Fraser University, we've been doing different things to support knowledge around anti-Palestinian racism and other supports for Palestinian students at our university. We hope that we will see more graduate student societies across the country supporting this initiative and signing on to this letter, demanding that these students are allowed access into Canada to the programs that they have been admitted to, as has been said multiple times, on merit. And yeah, we hope to see more graduate students or more graduate student associations and societies signing on to this initiative.
Any more questions, David?
No, those are all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci, c'est ce qui m'a fait à cette conférence de presse.
Thank you.